Congratulations! You've connected with the Pulpit Perspectives podcast. Join Reverend Dr. Kent Lundy as he connects with pastors where they preach, literally at the pulpit of their church. It's a point of view with purpose and personality that informs and inspires with real-life stories from great preachers you need to know. Your host is Reverend Dr. Kent Lundy. Let's join Kent at a pulpit with a fresh perspective from his guest preacher.
Hello and welcome to Pulpit Perspectives podcast. I'm your host, Reverend Dr. Kent Lundy. Pulpit Perspective podcast exists to create connections among clergy and their congregations. I'm standing here in the sanctuary of beautiful South Bend First United Methodist Church with their senior pastor, Reverend Vickie Van Nevel. Vickie, welcome to Pulpit Perspectives podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for the invitation.
Well, you're welcome. So how long have you been senior pastor here at First UMC?
It will be a year and 9 months this month, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Wonderful. And what are you celebrating?
What am I celebrating? I'm celebrating a church that's coming together with Northwest United Methodist Church, which is another South Bend church, and we are coming together to form one congregation in ministry, mission, and worship. And I'm celebrating the fact that you can start to see now after a year and 9 months that folks are much more comfortable with one another, and they're starting to consider themselves one congregation instead of two worshiping in the same space.
That would be nice.
Yes.
I can only imagine.
Yeah.
Okay. Good for you. Who inspired your call to ministry?
Reverend Cindy Reynolds, back in probably would have been 1999 or 2000, during the church was doing, I can't even remember what the issue was. It was something around Vision 2000, I think is what it was called. And Cindy came and preached at our church. And I had never really heard a female pastor before. I had never experienced that. And I was in awe listening to her. And I think that was the spark for me of, I got a plan for you, says God. And as my call progressed, I was always able to dig back to that. And Cindy's been very influential in being there to mentor and just to be a strong female pastor.
Which church?
That was at Lundy United Methodist in South Bend.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Wonderful. Reverend Cindy Reynolds. Okay. Good to know. So what do you do for fun?
What do I do for fun? I like to garden. I'm not always really good at it. And as I'm preaching on the vineyard passage of God being the person who trims and does all of those things, that's the thing that I'm the worst at, because I hate. It's always like, well, maybe it'll come back to life. Maybe it'll be okay. And what if I cut it and it doesn't grow again? So those are my things. But I do enjoy gardening, and I enjoy photography. And I like to take a lot of pictures of my flowers in my garden.
So tell me about your camera.
I have a Canon DSL, and obviously it's digital, and it isn't anything really expensive, but I got some really nice lenses for it, and I'm able to do some good, I think it's good photography, but it's just for me.
Well, I did not know that about you. I appreciate knowing that.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay. So what is your one go-to Bible verse?
I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me.
What does that mean to Vickie Van Nevel?
That means that no matter what gets thrown at me, if I pause and ask for God's guidance, I feel I can get that strength from there. And it reminds me that I'm not a lone ranger, which I tend to be, and that I need to depend on that grace and that strength that comes from Jesus Christ.
That'll preach.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So who or what keeps you humble?
My friends keep me humble because I'm not Pastor Vickie, I'm Vickie. And I think a lot of times just the congregation itself, when I kind of get a little too big for my britches or too full of myself,
Mhm.
and I think I'm all of that in a bag of chips, there will be somebody that will say something to me that reminds me that, no, you're not. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that sermon wasn't as good as you thought it was, or the comments that you made didn't really help me. So,
And hopefully we take those moments as a gift.
yeah, yeah, I try to. I think tend to have a tender heart about that sort of stuff, and it bothers me for a while, but then, it's go back to the passage. You can do all things through Christ who strengthens you.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. If you had one preacher to listen to the rest of your life, only one preacher, listen to that person for the rest of your life, who would that preacher be?
Adam Hamilton.
Adam Hamilton. What is it about his preaching that connects?
It it comes from his heart. It comes from his being. When I have heard him preach, it's I feel that it's not just something that he's copied from somewhere or whatever, that he's taken that passage and he's really looked at it. He's taken it to heart, and he brings things, for me, he brings things to life
Mm.
and reminds me of things that I don't necessarily always think of. And he brings humor, and I always learn something when I've listened to his sermons. And again, it keeps me humble, and I'm not all of that in a bag of chips,
Mm.
as far as my preaching goes.
Right, right.
And I
Okay.
listen to somebody who's really good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that perspective of,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
have some things to learn
Yes.
still.
Yeah.
Okay. I like it. I appreciate that perspective. So who are you, Mary or Martha?
I am, gosh, I don't know. I think I'm somewhat of a combination between the two, because I flitter and flutter around and do things, but yet I also like to sit and be still and to listen. And I probably don't do that piece as much as I should. But I think we probably all have a tendency to be both of them.
Mm.
And it's that balance, because we need Martha and we need Mary. And in the church, we need the Marthas and we need the Marys.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
Right. It's a both and.
Yes.
There you go. So pretend with me that you're going to go axe throwing.
Okay.
All right. Just just go with me.
Did you know I've been wanting to do that?
Oh, well, okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Then I'm going to help you.
Okay.
Because I'm going to ask you, who from the Bible would you take axe throwing with? Anybody from the Bible, say, hey, come along with me. We're going to go axe throwing.
Peter,
Why?
because I think that Peter would laugh at me.
Okay.
I think Peter would challenge me, because that's who he was. He challenged Jesus at times. But I also think that Peter would teach me just by watch. And I would think that Peter would be a good axe thrower. I'm not exactly sure why I think that, but I imagine Peter is a big burly fisherman, and I would think that that would make for a good axe thrower.
Right. Good with his hands.
Yes. Yeah.
Having to survive.
Yes.
And catch and kill whatever
Yes.
to
Yeah.
eat. So, of course, he's going to pick up this axe and
Yeah.
hit a home run every
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So what would what kind of coaching do you think he would need to give you in your axe throwing?
I think he would tell me I need to strengthen my arms because they're weak.
He would say, hit the gym.
Yes.
Vickie.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But I think he would tell me that I take him again because he's a off the cuff kind of guy. Whatever comes out of his mouth. And I think he would give me the advice to just relax, pick it up, and throw it,
Okay.
and be looking forward.
Yes.
Yeah.
That'll preach.
Yeah. That's true. I got
The axe throwing sermon series.
yes.
At First United
Yeah,
Methodist
I'm
Church.
gonna have to
Check
think
it
about
out.
that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So what is your favorite church season?
I think it's Lent, because it does make me slow down, and it's the season, for me, it's so nice. It's long and it goes through so many different things, and it just truly tells the story of Jesus's life. And, from the beginning, of Lent all the way through, and Holy Week is just phenomenal for me. I mean, I think that's the season that, and I want the people that are sitting out here to be able to share in that story and to understand how much they're loved because of the sacrifices that Jesus made during that week for them. And then to be able to celebrate on the resurrection. So, yeah.
Lent it is.
Lent.
Okay, got it. So what do you hope your fellow clergy know?
No, in general? Yeah.
Yes. When you think of your clergy colleagues, what do you hope they're certain of?
I hope they are certain of how much they are loved by Jesus Christ. And that no matter who they are, no matter what they've done, no matter who they love, that there's a place for them in the United Methodist Church.
Mhm.
And hopefully with General Conference coming up, that will truly be a true statement. But to know that God loves them beyond anything that they could ever begin to imagine. And that they share that with the people who sit in their pews, and to share that with their clergy colleagues, because I don't think we do that enough.
No, that is a powerful blessing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, last question. I'm going to give you 3 words. Okay. So 3 words. So think about the future of your time at South Bend First United Methodist Church, however long or short, that doesn't matter. But just when you think about the future of your pastoral leadership and this congregation, what 3 words come to mind when you think about the future here?
Love. Do you want some descriptions that go with that, or you just want those 3 words?
Just give me the 3 words
Yeah.
to start with. We'll see where that goes. Yeah. Love.
I would say love and learning to let go. That's more than one word. Worship. And then
Love,
worship and community.
Community. Love, worship, and community. Okay. So now unpack those a little bit. Why do you think those came to mind?
Because I don't want anybody to ever have been a part of my church family or someone that I have pastored that doesn't understand how much they are loved by God. For me, that's my task. And how important it is for them to love one another. And to share that love. And from worship, having been at Northwest for a very long time and now coming into a different place to do that, of having people be open to what goes on in worship. And it's not just something that gets checked off the list for the week. I showed up at church, check mark. But that they come and they truly worship, and they can let go and allow the Holy Spirit to fill them with the message that God has for them on the day.
To lower, what I get in touch with is lower their inhibitions.
Yes.
That they can truly be present in the moment.
Yes.
And get their defensiveness down.
And that's an excellent piece. Get their defenses down.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to just let go.
Uh-huh.
And community, that we are building community in here so that we might build community out there. And as we are coming together, 2 churches as one church, seeing things. One of the things that we always did at Northwest at the end of the service is we sing the song, Make Us One. And so we're singing that here. But what we've always done at Northwest was we all stand and we all hold hands as we sing that song. And the Northwest have injected that hand-holding, singing of that song here as part of this. This past week was probably the first Sunday that the entire congregation participated in that. It started over in this little area and kind of moved its way back, and a couple little pockets here and there. but to actually see people crossing the aisle to hold somebody else's hand. Because if we can't be community in here, we can't be community out there. And our South Bend community needs us. They need us to be, one of our taglines that we use is that we seek to be the light, shine the light of Christ in downtown South Bend. And so if we don't have that light in here, we can't shine it out there.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Love, worship, and community.
Yes.
Well, that will be my hope and prayer as well for you as you continue to lead this congregation.
I appreciate that.
Absolutely. So, Reverend Vickie Van Nevel, thank you for being a guest on Pulpit Perspectives podcast.
Thank you. It was a pleasure being here.
Well, thank you. Pulpit Perspective podcasts exist to create connections among clergy and their colleagues as well as their congregations. If you want to learn more about all that God is doing in the North District, I would invite you to like the North District Facebook page and also check out the North District page on the conference website, which is inumc.org, inumc.org. God is on the move in the North District, and we want you to know about it and be a part of it. So this has been Pulpit Perspectives Podcast with your host, Reverend Dr. Kent Lundy. Until next time, we'll see you later.
There you have it, a fresh perspective from the pulpit with a great preacher. You know you want to hear more. You can do just that by connecting with Pulpit Perspectives with Reverend Dr. Kent Lundy on Apple Podcast and Spotify, where you can like and follow the podcast. What's more, you can spread the good news about Pulpit Perspectives in your church and with your neighbors. Plan now on joining Kent at the pulpit, where you'll meet another great preacher on Pulpit Perspectives.